So, welcome back to the Flourish from Within interview series. Today we are interviewing Kristen Westcott. She is a health and wellness coach, and she, I believe, works with busy moms. You can tell us a little bit more about yourself, Kristen.
Yeah, so I am a health and wellness / life coach who specializes in life balance for working moms. So I help busy moms get organized and simplify their lives so that they can work towards balancing their families and careers and reducing their stress. So I really love breaking things down into manageable pieces and action steps to take my clients kind of step by step from and overwhelmed and happy. I really love talking dreams and their values and kind of the specific lifestyle changes that they want to make. So kind of a little bit of wellness, a little bit of life coaching kind of all together.
That sounds so incredible. And I think it's something that so many of us need in our lives because we just get so overwhelmed with everything that's going on. We often try to take on too much. Do you find that?
Yes, definitely. Especially women. I know there's still part of that socialization process that tells us that we still need to be doing all of these things. We're working, we're taking care of families, we have responsibilities for elder parents or younger children or in our communities. And we just really still feel like we need to take on all of this and do it all and kind of really get overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. And then it doesn't end up being productive in the end either, right?
No. Especially not if you hit burnout.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'm so excited to get deeper into this with you. So can you share a little bit more about what your journey with health and wellness has been that led you to become a health and wellness coach?
Yeah, for sure. So it's been a long journey. Well, I guess it's only been about 4 years, but it seems a lot longer than that. After my first daughter was born, I was diagnosed with and struggled with postpartum depression. And I really, really struggled to figure out who I was now that I was a mom and what that looked like and what parts of me were gone or how could I adapt to still being me as a woman as well as a mom and an employee and a wife. And, and this tiny human demanded so much from me. And I really struggled with that. And so I ended up actually seeing a therapist to deal with the postpartum depression. And it was actually through working with that therapist that we got talking about what was I passionate about and what did I like to do? And I'm like, well, nothing. I'm just too exhausted to do anything. And that started a journey of actually reflecting and looking at really who I was and what I wanted to do with my life, in addition to being this mom, what made me me still and what parts could I keep? And in doing that, I kind of fell into a whole bunch of research online to look at that. And then I ended up seeing that there were so many other women out there that were kind of going through the same thing and struggling with this idea of how do I be a wonderful mom and still be me and still have a career? And so that's how I ended up getting into health and wellness coaching. And then from there, I went to a coaching school. And after taking the program and working through the modules with other coaches, I just really, truly fell in love with helping other women kind of navigate this new space.
That's so incredible. And I find a lot of the time we can really share a lot from our own progress or our own experiences too. So I really love that you're now helping other women to achieve that balance and finding themselves again through all of that.
Yeah. And it can be a challenge too, right? Because it forces us to look at ourselves in a deeper level that we're not used to analyzing.
Yeah, for sure. That can come with a whole bunch of obstacles just in itself for anybody.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So you talk a lot about in your work finding balance. Can you share with us how finding balance has helped you and why it's so important?
Yeah. I mean, the short answer to this, I guess, would just be to really reduce our stress. I don't want to go too far down a rabbit hole here with all the problems that stress can kind of cause in our lives, but it can significantly reduce our quality of life from causing insomnia and anxiety to more long-term effects that might have some heart problems and things like that. So, if you have a conversation with anyone today and you ask them how they're doing, we either get oh, I'm busy or I'm stressed. And they're kind of essentially the same thing. And if you ask someone how their weekend was, they say busy. And it's like, well, where's the fun in that? Life isn't supposed to be like a life sentence. It's supposed to be a journey and an adventure. We're supposed to have some fun with it. And yes, we have responsibilities and things that we have to do, but we often forget that other side, right? The leisure, the recreation, the relaxation. And without this, we kind of get too stressed, too far on one side. And that's not good for us. And it's not good for the people around us or our relationships with our significant others or our children, or those people that really do mean quite a bit to us in our lives. And so many women I talk to tell me how they just want to be a good mom, but they just don't ever seem to have enough hours in the day to do what they need to do. And that's why finding balance really is important, so that you can feel content with the decisions that you make in your life and stop feeling like you're not enough and what you're doing isn't enough and you're not good enough and you can't be enough. And that's really kind of one of my biggest things when I work with people, is to look at where is that feeling coming from, and can you find your balance so that you feel like you are enough? Because it's so horrible to go through life with this feeling that no matter what we do, we're not enough with who we are.
That's so true. I really love what you said about life not being a life sentence. I've never had it phrased like that, but it totally makes sense. It's exactly what I talk about too. It's, life is meant to be enjoyed and lived, and not just a life sentence. That's
Yeah.
so, like, hit the nail on the spot. Is that the thing that you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hit the nail on the head. That's what it is. What does a balanced lifestyle look and feel like?
Oh, that's a good question. My friend and I like to joke that, it's sometimes you eat the kale and sometimes you eat the cupcake, and that balances it out. But it's a bit more than that, right? But it's hard to give a good definition because it's really different from everyone. There's no one right way to have a balanced life. And if people take nothing else from this video and this conversation, that's what I really want them to take away, is that balance is unique to every single person. So my feeling of being balanced will look completely different from yours, and that's totally okay. You have to kind of figure out what you want out of life, not what others expect from you or what others think that you should have as part of your life. And thinking about what you really want your life to look like. If you close your eyes and you picture your best day, what does that look like and what does that include? And that can kind of genuinely give you a good idea balanced lifestyle might look and might feel like. So for me, that includes getting up in the morning, being able to spend some time with my kids before I start my work day. And then when they're off at daycare and school, it's really getting into doing what I love to do. And my work excites me, and I love what I do. But also having that flexibility for me to go and pick them up at the end of the day, and then spending that time with them in the evening, and then putting them to bed and having that time for my spouse and I. And even though my day might be full, it feels balanced because I'm getting that combination of all of the things that I enjoy about my life, spending time with my kids, spending time with my spouse, and also getting to do this work that I love to do. And so even though I go from early morning right straight through to the evening, I have a whole bunch of components that kind of make me feel a balance and in alignment with who I really am.
Mm-hmm. That's so key, I find, is you're so right about everybody saying, oh, my life is busy, my days are busy. But when you say full versus busy, it's almost like full has more purpose to it, more intention behind it, and more like happiness, just an overall feeling of joy, right, to your desire,
Yes.
which is incredible. I find a lot that just the words that you choose can really shape the way that you go about life, the way that you feel in life.
Yeah, our language, we don't even realize how much it drastically affects our mindset and the emotions that we feel behind it. Often don't think about words as anything more than and just a word to communicate, but they really do drive a lot of feeling and a lot of emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it totally can change the way your day goes, the way your life goes, really.
Yeah, yeah.
So I really love that exercise. So is that something that you recommend your clients to do? Like picture what their best day would look like and live more, I guess, live day to day more like what their best day would be like rather than what they currently do?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying like, if you won the lottery, what would your life look like? I
Yeah.
try and have them, because that would be great. We could all just do whatever we wanted every day of our week. But, in reality, with what responsibilities that you do have, what would your best day look like? What would that include? What are the things that you want to do? What are the activities you want in your life? Who do you want to be spending that time with? And I have them really kind of go through kind of a visualization exercise where they can kind of sit down and really think about this.
That sounds like an incredible activity to do if you are wanting to find more balance in your life and also just live more in happiness and joyful feelings rather than the life sentence of doom.
Yeah.
What other like techniques or tools or strategies do you recommend for people who are trying to find some more balance in their life?
Yeah. So aside from visualizing what it is you really want, you kind of also have to look at your priorities. So there might be a lot of things that we want to do and that we want to participate in and take on, but we really have to kind of look at, of all of those things, what is most important to us, right? And it can't be everything. It just can't. There's only so many hours in a day. So you kind of have to really figure out what really matters to you and what you could maybe do without. So I do like a prioritizing exercise with my clients to help them kind of figure this out, but it tends to be the basis of their balance. And then I have them do a time log of their week and have them look at how they're currently spending their time. And then we reflect on what parts of their week align with those priorities and that vision and the things that they really love to do and which parts don't. And then we go from there, making small shifts until they feel a little bit more in alignment with finding that balance. Right. So we could still be busy. We could still have those full days, but balanced. I don't know if that quite makes sense, but
Totally.
it really drives, it's really how you feel, like when you have a really hard workout and you feel exhilarated at the end, or maybe you've had a crazy busy day at work, but you come home totally energized because even though it's been busy, it's been great. So finding your balance is really about how you feel about the activities in your life. Are they giving you energy or are they draining your energy? And are they in alignment with those goals and visions? So a lot of that stems from us having to pick and prioritize the things that we want to put into our week, and then kind of shift the amount of time we're spending in our week a little bit away from those activities that maybe are draining our energy and more towards those activities that are in alignment with the vision that we have.
Yeah, so those are some amazing strategies. And I find too, like even myself, if I'm not protective of my time, I can easily waste, hours upon hours doing things that I really don't love doing, that don't bring me joy and fulfillment.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall down that rabbit hole and get sidetracked with all of those other things.
And also, I think, do you work on this with your clients as well, where you need to, not necessarily need to, but working on saying no to things that don't align to you as well, right?
Yeah. And again, I find that particularly for the women I work with, this is really challenging, right? Saying no, feeling that we might disappoint people or might upset some kind of relationship that we've worked hard to get going. There's that sense of obligation a lot of times. And some for many women, it's what will others think of me if I don't participate in this and things like that. So it is quite a challenge to be comfortable with saying no and not feeling like you always have to give an excuse. Just saying, thank you for thinking of me, but unfortunately at this time, I'm not going to be able to commit to that. And that's fine. We don't need to have an explanation behind it. But it is quite a challenge for many women.
Yeah, I love that. The way that you just put that, that gives a really great prompt for people to just start saying no so that they can fill their own cups rather than focus on what other people are going to think of them, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I find a lot of people I want to say in the world, I come across these people in my community who are just so incredibly busy and stressed out and overwhelmed, and they feel like they're failing at everything. And they get so caught up in this mindset and this vicious cycle that they can't see the other side.
Mm.
What would you recommend as a first step to take to try and regain some of the power and control back so that they can find balance?
Well, this is going to sound kind of silly, but I would say get off social media.
Mm.
We get so overwhelmed with what we see others doing, what we feel we should be doing, things that we somehow think we should be fitting into our day. And we often forget that what we're seeing is the highlight reel of someone else's life. They're posting all of the good stuff for one tiny snapshot of their day. And we don't often think about maybe what else has gone on in their day or how their lives might be completely different from ours. They have different responsibilities. They have different flexibility in their time, maybe, or they have different personalities and different relationships and different support systems. But we don't think a lot about that when we're on social media. We're just consuming. And so I find that when my clients get off social media, they're really able to pull back from that stress and that overwhelm. It also frees up some time for them to be able to work through some of these feelings, because when we stop looking at what others are doing and stop comparing our lives to them, then we can somehow relax a little bit, and stop feeling like we're failing or that we're not caught up with things or we're not as far as we should be in our lives. And it can really kind of help reset some of those things. And then once they've made a little bit of space there, I would suggest they really just take a step back from their week and take some time to just sit quietly. And for me, this is often after my kids are in bed, and either journal or maybe even just daydream about what could be. Right, like we mentioned earlier in our talk here, is what would your life be like? And I'm not talking about the lottery kind of dream, but realistically, what do I want my everyday life to look like? And then take 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to sit here for hours. Just take 10 minutes and either just daydream or journal or maybe meditate. And because you really need a vision that excites you before you can start taking steps to rearrange things. And you don't want to add too much onto your plate when you're already stressed and overwhelmed and have these feelings of failure. So I always recommend that even if you can only find 10 minutes in your day, maybe those 10 minutes you were on social media, you can now spend that 10 minutes really stepping back, and really kind of taking some time to analyze what you want your mornings to look like, your days to look like, your evenings to look like. And then you can figure out from there, then maybe what's that one area that you can start addressing to kind of help get that stress under control. And for some women, it's maybe they need to be more organized or they need a new routine or a system in place. And for some women, it's they're really lacking in that self-care. And if they incorporated some self-care into their day, they might be able to get some of that stress under control. But you can't figure out what to do going forward if you haven't first taken that step back, because we can't operate from a place of overwhelm and stress and really do our best thinking.
Oh, I love that. All of what you just said is so 100% on point. The social media, whether you're a mom or an entrepreneur or just a person going through life, it can totally make you feel like you're not doing enough. And you're so right with when you take a step back and just, quiet your mind and have time with yourself, you start to regain, like your inspiration, your guidance, right? From your inner guide that gives you little prompts as to what you need to do next in order to, live, live in your desires, live in a happier state almost, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. That's amazing. If you could share with us one thing that you wish you knew back when you were just getting started on your health and wellness journey, to balance sort of all the new responsibilities and your new role as a mom and your, I guess, almost your identity as a new mom, what did you wish you knew?
Well, there's so much information out there. I don't know that it was I had a lack of knowledge. I think it was I had this lack of belief. And I had a belief that I had to do everything. I had to be a good mom. I had to keep my house nice and clean. I had to feed my baby homemade organic food. Whether I did puree or baby-led weaning, it was never going to be the right thing. And I had to participate in these activities. And there's a real drive for child development and how the early years are the most important years of their life, and you need to expose them to all of these things. And again, a lot of this went along with what I was seeing on social media and things like that about all these events and other moms doing things with their infants, that I really felt I had to do everything. I had to, make all of these perfect meals and keep my house nice and clean and run my 3-month-old, 4-month-old, 6-month-old to these baby activities where they're singing and learning sign language and finger painting. And it got to be so overwhelming. And at the end of the day, my daughter's now 4. She doesn't remember that when she was 3 months old, I took her to all these activities, but I ran myself ragged running around the city trying to expose her to all of these things. And that really, really stressed me out, made me feel completely unbalanced, made me again feel like I wasn't doing enough for her as a mom. And that really, really affected the happiness of my life. So, if I could do it all over again, which I had a second child, so I did get a second shot at that. It was, really took away the idea that I didn't have to do everything. I could pick and choose a couple of things that I wanted to do with her, and let everything else go. Yes, I took the picture every month in the same position with the little sticker, but there were other things that I didn't do that I was seeing all these other moms posting. And the second time around, I felt okay with that.
Mm-hmm. And that's so important too, to recognize your stress levels, because I imagine that would also impact your children, right? Because they can feel and sense what other people are feeling.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. Her naps were off and she wouldn't relax. And I contribute that a lot to the fact that I was, unbeknownst to me, overstimulating her. And then she was also feeding off my anxiety, I guess, as well.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think when a lot of parents, they feel overwhelmed with their children, it often begins with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm not a mom, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, one of the best ways to parent your children is to have them model your behavior. And if they're seeing you constantly stressed and overwhelmed and running around, and even though we try to hide a lot of that from them, they are smart little beings. They feed off the energy that you're putting out there, and they can really sense, even if you're not saying it, how you're feeling, and they pick up on that.
Yeah, it's incredible how connected they are and how connected we just are as humans, right? It's really amazing. So, do you ever find yourself slipping back into like a feelings of chaos or overwhelm?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And as much as you could try and really, try and design your life the way you want it to be, things come up, and there are times that you kind of slide back a bit. So, what I try and do when I feel that happening is then I go back and I look at my calendar and I see what we've got coming up, and then I will purposely write on the family calendar, block time off. And I'll write right on there, no activities today, or time off for family, or family game night. My kids are only 2 and 4, but we'll play Candyland or something like that. And making sure that I block at least one day off on that calendar each week where we do absolutely nothing. So if the kids want to stay in their pajamas all day, not a big deal. We don't need to pick that battle today. So I find if I start sliding and getting overwhelmed and finding I'm not as balanced in my activities as I'd like to be, then I go back to that calendar and I just actually physically write on it and block that time off. So that it's kind of that reminder for me, again, of getting back to what's really important to me in my day and in my week. And that for me right now is spending the time with my kids while they're young. Before they're teenagers and off and doing their own thing and they don't want to have anything to do with me, then my life balance might look a little bit different. But for right now, that's what I have to do. So if I do slip, I always go back to, I'm a very visual person, so I really like to see it written out. And I know that, okay, Wednesday's going to be really busy this week, but I've blocked Thursday night off and it's just us with the kids at home doing whatever we need to do.
That must make you feel almost a sense of relief and calmness, even just blocking off that time, looking forward to that day off, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's a really good tip. So this has been absolutely wonderful. It's such a pleasure. And thank you so much for sharing all of these amazing, incredible tips and information with us. I think our communities are really going to walk away with a lot of steps, not a lot, but valuable steps that they can start to implement right away to find balance in their lives and regain some of that happiness. I know you shared with me that you have a new group or you're running a group program, right, in February. Do you want to share a little bit more about that with us?
Yeah, so in February, I'm relaunching my Stress to Zen program. It's a group coaching program that I run through a private Facebook group, in addition to emails you get, and it's a 1 month program, but I give support beyond that month. So we try and design it so that we're going through the steps within a month. But if you can't do it within that month, then we're always kind of there to continue to support you. So that program has 10 different little mini modules that are designed to be able to, for you to kind of spend 5 minutes reading here and then maybe 3 10 minutes segments implementing over a period of 3 days. So I tried to design it so everything is in really small bite-sized pieces so that you can kind of fit them in here and there between what you've got going on. And the 10 modules teach you different ways about how to de-stress and how to bring your life back to that more balanced state. And one of the things we talk about is how to go about saying no, how to put boundaries in place, different ways to relax, what self-care looks like. So many of us have this idea that it's massages and pedicures, and while that's part of it, there's so much more to it than that. And so we kind of work through 10 different modules to give everyone like a really great toolkit for how they can kind of implement some of these things throughout their lives to really reduce that stress and find that balance that they're looking for.
That sounds so incredible. So who might this be for? If someone's watching and you just want to share a little bit about, like, if this is you, then this is the right program for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you find yourself saying that, oh my God, I really don't have, any time in the day. I can't believe that I have to try and get this done on top of everything else. How am I going to manage to get through the week without losing my marbles? How can I stop being so overwhelmed trying to do all of the things? Maybe how can I have more patience with my children? Um, or how do I create space to take care of myself when I have so many other responsibilities? Those are just kind of like some of the questions that a lot of the women that I work with in these group programs tend to be asking themselves as they start.
That sounds so incredible. And I feel like a lot of people need this program in their lives. And so, of course, the idea is to go from feeling super overwhelmed and stressed to having a sense of zenness, right? That's, I guess, why it's called Stress to Zen.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. That's so incredible. So we will post the link to that below in the description, so that if you're interested in checking that out, or if you're interested in anything that any of the work that Kristen does, then we will also post a link to our website and social media accounts. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us today, Kristen?
Just that if you are struggling, with overwhelm and stress and what have you, that you don't have to struggle alone. There's a lot of support out there for you. There's a lot of little things that you can do that make a really big difference in your life. So, sometimes just taking that one tiny step, you'll find can really open up a lot of breathing room for you. So, I hate to see women struggling on their own to try and manage it all, and then hitting burnout. So, if you feel like you're on that path, then, see what you could do about finding the little things that you can do. And like I said, there's lots of support online. There's lots of Facebook groups, and continuing listening to this YouTube channel, and you'll find lots of extra tips here from Lauren as well.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for being here with us and for sharing all of your wonderful tips. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to do another interview soon, and dive a little bit deeper into, balance and not feeling so overwhelmed and stressed anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Just let me know.
Amazing. That would be so wonderful. Well, have a wonderful day.
All right, you too.